the first speaker of the proposition to deliver the case.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today our motion is this House would tolerate the use of politically incorrect language in public. And today we are proud to remain on the side of the position. Well, before going on to our arguments and our model, I would like to first define what is politically incorrect language, what are the politically incorrect language. Well, these contain racial slurs, stereotypical words, words that offend religions and beliefs, and also sexually offensive words. Well, we have came up with a solution, and now I would like to tell you that. Well, we will give the right to use politically incorrect words to everyone, but we will only have an intention to punish the ones who has a racist, bad, discriminative meaning in their words. And to understand their meaning, we will ask to the one who that person addressed to. And if that person, please sit down, if that person says that he's my friend and he had a good friendly meaning, sir, please sit down. Okay. And if that person says that he's my friend, he had a good friendly meaning to address me, we won't give any punishment. But if that person states that he was offended, we will give a punishment and we will try to educate that person why using these words in a bad way is completely wrong, and also we will let everyone to report the ones who use these words in a bad way. And now please sit down. Why do I say that there is a bad way and a good way of words? I will tell you this in my first argument. And my first argument's headline is "Words have evolved." Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, today in 2011, Mexicans call themselves Cabrons and Latinos. Today, in our modern world, in 2011, black people call themselves niggers. And this shows us that words have actually evolved. Please sit down. Well, because in the 1800s, there was a word Negro, and it meant being a black slave. But today, that word has evolved and turned to nigger, and nigger means black friend. Nigger means a black buddy, and sincere black people call themselves nigger because, please sit down, because they are close friends. And if a black person calls another black person nigger in a good way, then why we cannot allow this? I just don't get it. And so if a black person tells another black person nigger in a good way, in a friendly way, because they are close friends, we believe that, I'll take you in a second, we believe that a close white friend of a black person should be able to call his close black person nigger in order to address him in a good, friendly way. Yes?
We believe you're not going far enough in your proposition. We think that you should be proposing allowing also calling niggers niggers because people hate them.
Well, we believe that we are in the side position, but we are opposing to discrimination too. And that is the main reason why we would not like the people using words such as nigger or negro in a bad way, rather than we would happily let them to use these words in a good way in order to address their close friends. And as I said before, if a Mexican calls another Mexican cabron, and if a black person calls another black person nigger, and if they are close friends, and if they call these to address them, we believe that there is no problem in a white person to call his closest black friend nigger in order to address them in a sincere and in a good way. Please sit down. Now, in my second argument, I would like to talk about freedom of speech. Well, I would like to say, why do we avoid the opportunity of expressing the feelings of the minorities and the crushed sides? Well, please sit down. Well, for example, we all know that white people discriminated black people. They tortured black people, and they used these people as slaves. And today, most black ancestors were slaves. So don't you think that it is the right of a black person, it is the right of a crushed person to feel anger and hatred about what happened before? So, and don't you think that these people must have a chance of freedom of speech in order to express their anger to those white people? Please sit down. We owe to these people, so if they feel anger and hatred just because of what happened before, we have to tolerate them in this way of expressing their feelings, because this is a touching matter, and this is a special matter to them, because we, as the white people, tortured their ancestors, the black people. So we think that they should have a chance to express their feelings also. We believe that they should have a chance to show their anger in order to relieve, in order to relax. Yes.
We think you have misidentified the issue. What about if white racists call black people niggers? What about that?
Well, as I said before, we would not like that to happen, and that is why we are narrowing this motion, and we want, please sit down, and that is why we want those people to be punished, and that is why we also want them educated in order to why we should not use these words in a bad way. And please sit down. So yes, as I said before, we as the white people tortured and use these people as slaves, and if they feel anger and if they feel hatred towards us because of the things that happened before, actually we believe that we actually owe them a chance to express their feelings, and we owe them a chance to use their freedom of speech, and so we have to repay them in such way. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I told you two of our arguments, and our third argument will be presented by my second speaker. Social integrity will have a bad effect. He will be mainly talking about that, and also we defined what is politically incorrect language, what are these words, and what are the groups of these words. And we also told you our model. We say that we will only tolerate the ones who had a good intent, and to learn that and to specify that, we will ask the ones who the words were addressed to, and if they say they're okay, we don't punish them. And if they're offended by that, then we will punish the ones who use these words in a bad way. And also, we will try to educate them, and we will show them why using these words in the bad way is totally wrong. And I presented you two cases, two substantial arguments. Words have evolved and freedom of speech, and we believe that this type of position is still in the times of 1800s, but we are now in 2011, and nigger means close black friend. Nigger means black friend, and that is why black people say nigger to each other, and that is why we say that there is nothing wrong in a white person calling a black close friend nigger in order to address them in a good way. And also we say that we owe freedom of speech to the black people because we tortured them before, because we used them slaves before, and because we owe this freedom of speech to them. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. We now call upon the first speaker of the opposition. We'll put the case on this side.
ladies and gentlemen, today's proposition completely misunderstood what was their role. Their role was to come up here and tell you that all of the racist people who hate the vulnerable groups do have the right to talk about it politically incorrectly in public issues and public channels. What they said was that they came and told us that we have a right to talk about things friend to friend in a very private relationship. What do we think is not the issue of this debate? And secondly, they've been talking about the issue of the fact whether the people have a right to talk about the ones who actually harmed them in previous historical injustices. What we think is wrong anyway, because it is a hasty generalization of any group when you talk about someone in a discriminatory way. So what we are going to deal with in our substantial and our rebuttal is that first of all I would like to rebut what the team of proposition brought in, and then I would like to talk about two specific points. First of all, how this actually increases the prejudice against vulnerable groups, and secondly, what will be the impact on these groups that are vulnerable in our society. And my second speaker will talk about the international impact on the country, which actually enables people to talk with these racist and politically incorrect language. But first of all, what was brought by the team of proposition? Well, first of all, we heard that about politically incorrect language, that we assume that this is about religion, about ethnicity, and all of these things. Yes, we do agree. Politically incorrect language is when you speak about someone in hate, in a way that you express your hate or discrimination, or that you do not respect them for. And ladies and gentlemen, what the team of proposition told us that in cases when we do not offend these groups, we have a right to talk about these things. But ladies and gentlemen, in that case, they are doing exactly the same as we are, because we think that it is completely wrong to talk about any group in any way offending them. What team of proposition is proposing is completely ineffective policy, which enables people to talk whatever they want, and to restrict them, no thank you sir, restrict them to talk about people in an offending way, which is actually unable and inefficient, because there are specific connotation of language which simply do not enable you to talk about specific groups in a nice way and in a very harmful way. Because when you somebody call a Negro, or there is a specific word for any ethnicity or culture, you are actually expressing your hate or actually disgrace to these groups. So we do not think that this works in any way, because when you call, no thank you sir, when we call these people with any of these words, we simply offend them. So secondly, we heard that there is some sort of evolution of world which we simply do not, we do not understand why team of proposition simply says that, because yes, if there is a word which is actually harmful to these groups, then go on. Let's just use it. But we are talking about the words that are actually harming these groups, which are actually showing that these groups are problematic, that these groups have some sort of disability to the others, that they are simply less than the others. And secondly, they talk about the freedom of speech. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do agree that freedom of speech is a very nice concept. We do enhance it, but there are certain specific situations where we simply have to step in to restrict people to talk about someone in a hate way. We simply do not think that people should be allowed to talk about specific groups when they actually harm them directly, what I will deal with in my second argument. And also we heard that there are actually situations when we can talk about people that harmed us in a discriminatory way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we simply do not think that even though that white people harm the black ones, there is any reasons for the black ones to call the white ones in any way, because that's just a generalization of this group, which is completely wrong. So now let me move on to our substantial case. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, we think that I'll take you in a moment, sir. We think that the first and very significant point is that we allow these prejudiced ideas to be spread through public channels. Go on, sir.
Okay, well, you said that our meaning and your meaning is the same thing, but we don't agree with this, because in today's world, even if you use these words in a friendly manner, you get punished for this. We believe that when it's a friendly matter, when it's addressing a person in a quite normal way, we believe that they shouldn't be punished, and that's what happens.
No, sir, that's a completely different situation. You're talking about a friendly manner when you're talking to your close friend. We're talking about the public situation, that there is actually a politician or an influential group talking to the people.
Sorry?
No, thank you, sir. In public occasions, in public channels, where they actually spread these ideas to the huge target group, which is public. So first of all, it is completely wrong to allow, no, thank you, sir, let people to talk about this thing publicly. Because first of all, there is a huge spread of these ideas through media such as TV, newspaper, radio, for example, political campaigns or political rallies. We simply do not think that this is a space that should be used for irrational and actually incorrect language that actually enables people to harm directly the other group. More importantly, this environment of public space enables people to actually legitimize these ideas because it actually gives some relevance to these ideas and to these words that actually express hatred to these people. Because when you actually see a word in television, in newspapers, or you actually see an influential people talking about these ideas and with this language, you actually understand and you actually realize that this language is something you can use as well because these are the influential people that you might respect and this is actually the wrong concept that we do not understand should happen. And more importantly, we believe that if these words are used publicly, it actually enables a huge target group which also consists of vulnerable people such as young people who might not understand thoroughly the understanding of these words that actually might use them unwisely and therefore might use these words incorrectly so that these people would be harmed. Which leads me to our second point. How this actually affects the vulnerable group that is offended by the politically incorrect language. Well, first of all, we have to realize, as the team of proposition rightly assumed at the very beginning of their speech, we're talking about groups such as races, ethnicities, cultures, or religions or sexualities. We think that these people are in many cases the minor groups in society that are put on this side, and there are those marginal groups that do have the hard position to actually push any of their ideas, and they are in many cases discriminated because of the way that they are different. And ladies and gentlemen, when we allow the use of politically incorrect language, which actually enhances this difference and actually puts these people on the margin of the society and excludes them, we actually enhance this discrimination. And what we will actually end up with the propositions policy is the fact that these people will be considered even worse, and these people will be understood wrongly. These people will be prejudiced and therefore might experience two negative consequences. Well, first of all, they might experience the fact that they will lose their own self-esteem, that they themselves will be harmed because they will think about themselves in a wrong way as well, because they might understood the language of the public is offensive and that actually they might identify with it, so that they will feel harmed by it. And secondly, it might actually influence the public as well, so that they will discriminate these people even more, and therefore they will consider them even more socially excluded, so that they might have problem to actually integrate to society. They might have problem to actually find employment and actually integrate to the society again. So we think that this only enhances all of these negative things that these people are already experiencing because they are different and they are the minor groups and marginal groups in society. And we believe that this should not happen. We believe that the society should enhance and prohibit any ideas which go against equality and actually support discrimination. And therefore, we believe that this motion has to fall. Thank you very much.